We are living today in the most exciting world in all of human history. We're living in a world of rapid change, turbulence, and unpredictability. According to Harvard University, whatever field you're in, 3 predictions. Number 1, there'll be more change in your field in the coming year than ever before. There'll be more competition in your field than ever before. And there'll be more opportunities in your field than ever before. But there'll be different opportunities from the opportunities of the past. Today we know that knowledge is exploding. Knowledge is doubling every 2 to 3 years. Now just imagine what that means. Imagine if you took all the knowledge that had ever been accumulated in all of human history and put it in a pile. 2 to 3 years from now, there'd be another pile next to it equally as large. And by the 21st century, knowledge will be doubling every year. There'll be a new pile that big every single year. Technology is exploding. It's exploding, and every single advance in technology multiplies times other advances in technology and increases our knowledge and expands the competition. And the competition is getting better, fiercer, more aggressive, and more determined than ever before. The greatest single factor in our life is change, and your goal must be to be a master of change versus a victim of change. You must be a creator of circumstances rather than a creature of circumstances. Your job, your goal must be to be powerful rather than to be powerless. And the key is to develop confidence and control and personal power. Now, we know this, that by doing what other successful people do, you can eventually enjoy the same results and rewards that other successful people enjoy. In its simplest terms, successful people are more highly motivated, they're more focused, and they're more effective thinkers than others. They are superior thinkers. And wonderfully enough, none of them started off highly motivated, better focused, or better thinkers. They learned how over the course of time, and so can you. There are several ways that you can expand your mind. We call this thinking big or thinking bigger, and expand your thinking to increase your levels of self-esteem, self-respect, and personal pride. In the final analysis, these are the results of success. These are the keys to happiness. Self-esteem means that you like yourself and you value yourself and appreciate yourself. Self-respect means that you respect yourself because you know you can do a good job and you know that you are respected by others. And personal pride means that you know you're doing what you do well. You feel proud of yourself. You feel proud of your accomplishments. So in this session, we're going to talk about how you can raise your self-esteem, your self-respect, and your personal pride by doing what other successful people do. And the starting point is for you to allow yourself to dream big dreams. Never dream small dreams. Only big dreams have the power to move your mind and your heart. Only big dreams contain magic. Allow yourself to dream. When we're children, we dream all the time. When we become adults, we become cynical, and sometimes we become our own worst enemies. And if somebody else comes up with a dream or a fantasy or an idea, we say, no, that wouldn't work. I've tried that. It costs too much. It's not possible. But instead, do what superior people do and play with your mind. The way you play with your mind, and this is a characteristic of all peak performers, is that you imagine that there are no limitations on what you can do. You just pretend for a moment that you've moved into a time warp, and in this time warp, all things are possible for you. Imagine that you have no limitations. You have all the time and all the money and all the people and all the contacts and all the friends and all the connections and all the experience. Imagine that you could do or be or have anything to make your life better. Then take out a piece of paper and write out what we call a dream list. Now, a dream list is where you let your mind float freely, like a river that's out of control. And sometimes it's called blue sky thinking, where you allow yourself to think of the whole blue sky above you. And in this dream list, you write down everything that you'd want to have in your life, today, tomorrow, a week, a month, a year, 5 years, just write it down. If you're married or in a relationship, write down your dreams, everything that you'd like to be or have. If you're building a business or a career, write down your dreams. Imagine everything that you'd like to have if your life were perfect and you had no limitations at all. Allowing yourself to dream immediately has an impact. It raises your self-esteem, it increases your self-respect, and it has an impact on your level of personal pride. We have found psychologically that the very act of allowing yourself to imagine that these things are possible for you and to write them on a dream list makes you feel better and more important and more powerful. It gives you a greater sense of control and it raises your self-confidence. It makes you a better person. So do what superior thinkers do and practice back from the future thinking. What you do is you project forward several years. You imagine that everything has worked out fine. You imagine where you want to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now, and then you look back to where you are today, and you imagine what you might have had to do to get from the present to the future. Constantly projecting forward and looking back is a very powerful exercise. Even better, create what is called a 5-year fantasy. A 5-year fantasy is where you close your eyes and you imagine that you go into a time warp for 5 years. And when you wake up, your life is perfect in every respect. If you projected forward 5 years and every part of your life, your health, your relationships, your family, your finances, your work, your company, if everything was perfect in every respect, what would it look like? What would it look like if it was perfect? And then come back to the present and say, what would I have to do starting today to begin to make that fantasy a reality? Here's a great factor in thinking big and thinking better is do what you love. The rule is if you do what you love, the money will follow. All really successful people found that the key to their success is to find out what they really love to do and then to throw their whole heart into doing it as well as it could possibly be done. And the starting point of you doing what you love to do is, first of all, set it as part of your fantasy. By gum, if I could have anything in the world, this is what I'd really love to do. Then you identify your unique talents and abilities. What are the special qualities that have been engineered into you from the beginning of your life? What have you always enjoyed doing over your life? Here's a good way of testing. From the time you were in childhood through to today, what has always been easy to learn and easy to do? Sometimes it's been so easy to learn that you forget how you even learned it. You just had a natural facility for doing it. Another good question is, what activities in your life give you your greatest feelings of self-esteem, self-respect, and personal pride? We know this, that the area that would be perfect for you, the thing that you would love to do the most, is something that holds your attention and your interest. It's something that absorbs you completely. It's an activity that has been most responsible for your success and happiness in life to date. What is it? What do you really love to do? Imagine you won $1 million cash tomorrow and you could do anything you wanted in the whole world. What work would you choose to do if you had the freedom to choose? Now, a third key to thinking big, thinking better, being more effective, is to see yourself as self-employed. I talk about this all the time because it's a characteristic of the most successful people in every field. They look into themselves and they view themselves as though they work for themselves, even if someone else writes their paycheck. We find that the top 3% of people in every organization act as if they own the place. They act as if the whole company belongs to them. They never say, that's not my job, because everything is their job. And surprise, surprise, the people around them, the people who can affect their careers, recognize these people as the most valuable people in the organization. These are the people that they give more responsibility to. These are the people that they give the training to. These are the people the company invests in because they treat the company like it belongs to them. So view yourself as self-employed, even if you work for someone else all your life. And then make a plan to join the top 10% of people or companies in your field. See yourself as the president of your own company and say, well, my company, my personal services company, which has only one employee, myself, and only one product, my services, I want my company to be in the top 10% of companies in my industry. What is your plan to join the top 10% in your field? Now, all companies have to determine their area of excellence. An area of excellence is a competitive advantage that enables a company to succeed in a competitive marketplace. What is your area of excellence as a person? What will your area of excellence be a week, a month, a year from now, the way things are going? What should it be if you really want to be successful? What could it be if you pulled out all the stops and you set big goals for yourself? You see, asking these questions, what is my area of excellence? What will it be if I don't change? What should it be? And what could it be opens up your mind to all kinds of possibilities. And you know, it's impossible for you to be successful unless your market recognizes that you are superior. You are somehow better in some way than everybody else offering your services. If you're working for someone else, your goal should be to be indispensable. You should do your job so well that it would cause real suffering in your organization if you weren't there for any period of time. And then plan your activities strategically as the president of your own company to increase your ROE. Now, in companies, we use ROE to mean return on equity. All strategic planning in corporations is aimed at increasing the return on the equity or the capital invested in the business. But with you, ROE stands for return on energy. All leaders, all really successful people, all people who think effectively are people who are constantly looking for ways to get more out of themselves. They're constantly using themselves. They invest themselves the way they would invest money to get the highest return. They constantly ask, is this the very best use of my time? Is this the most valuable thing that I could be doing right now? And if it's not, they say no, and they stop. And they devote themselves in their activities to getting the highest return on energy, or what we call the highest return on life. Another way that you can think big and think better and think more effectively is to dedicate yourself to serving others. Human beings are structured in a remarkable way. We're structured so that we only are really happy when we know that what we're doing is having a positive result on the life or work of other people. We're so constructed that unless we are serving others in some way, our customers, our company, our co-workers, our spouse, our children, our friends, our community, service is the most powerful drive that we have. Dr. Viktor Frankl, the founder of logotherapy, said that every single person needs meaning and purpose in life. He said it was the deepest of all human drives. And you only get your sense of meaning and purpose by knowing that you're making a difference in the lives of other people. You can't get it just by doing things for yourself. You have to know that what you're doing has significance. It's important. It makes a difference. If you didn't do it, other people would not be as well off. And in the world of work, all business success comes from serving other people and serving them better. We know this. There's a direct relationship between your results and your rewards. There's a direct relationship between your performance, what you achieve, what you accomplish, and what you get back. Our society is full of people, by the way, who want to disconnect the link between results and rewards. They don't like the idea that some people are paid an enormous amount of money because those people get very high levels of productivity out of their work. In fact, today, we shouldn't call people the rich and the poor. We should call people the productive and the unproductive. Your income is always proportionate to your service to other people. People who live in big houses serve others more effectively. People who have nice lives are serving more and more people better and better. Everything you do in your work is to find better ways to serve people faster and cheaper than competitors. And here's the key to serving other people. It's to always do more than you're paid for. Always do more than you're paid for, so that everybody knows, like the baker's dozen, where the baker throws in a 13th roll or donut. Always do more than you're paid for, and always be willing to go the extra mile for the people who depend on you. Remember this, there are never any traffic jams on the extra mile. When you start to go the extra mile, you move into the top 10% in your field, and things really begin to open up for you. Develop a reputation as a hard worker. Of all the things that you can do in the world, developing a reputation amongst the people who can affect your career as a hard worker is one of the most important. The hardest working people in every organization are always the ones who are the most respected. They are always the ones who have the greatest number of opportunities. They are always the ones who are given more responsibilities. And here's a rule for success. In the world of work, everybody knows everything. Everybody knows who works the hardest at your company. Everybody knows who works the second hardest. Everybody knows who works the third hardest. And everybody knows who's lazy or who's faking it. So here's the rule. Work all the time you work. Remember when you went to school, which was your first experience with a work environment, you played with your friends. You went to school and you went to a few classes and mostly you socialized and played with your friends. When you go to work, your natural conditioning will be to look at work as a place where you play with your friends. But this is not for you. When you go to work, the whole game changes. At work, you're paid a certain amount of money to accomplish a certain amount of results. And your job is to work all the time you work. Your job is, when you come to work, to put your head down, start immediately, and work on important things. You do not drop off your dry cleaning or pick up your laundry. You don't make phone calls to your friends or take long lunch hours or coffee breaks or come in late or leave early. Do you know that fully 50% of working time is wasted? Fully 50% of working time is wasted through idle socializing, according to the research of almost employees, and that all wages are dumbed down or diluted to the fact that people only work at half speed. Use what I call the 40-plus factor in guaranteeing your success. It says that you work 40 hours a week for survival. If all you do is put in your 40 hours, all you do is survive. You don't make any progress. However, the 40-plus factor says that everything over 40 puts you on the side of the angels. Every hour that you put in over 40 is going to and contributing to your success. In fact, we say you can tell where you are going to be in 3 to 5 years by looking at how many hours over 40 that you put in each week on your job. And if you can't work more than 40 hours a week on your job, work on yourself, making yourself better, so that when you do work, you get far more productivity out of the same period of time. Put speed and dependability into everything you do. Speed and dependability means that when you get a job, you do it fast, and you do it dependably. You become the kind of person who is known by everyone is if you want to get it done and you want to get it done right, give it to him or her. It's almost like a ball that's fumbled in a football game. Some people fall on it, other people pick it up and run for the goal lines. Your job is to take every job that's given to you and run for the goal lines. Put your whole heart into doing it excellently, doing it fast, and doing it well. Now, another key to thinking big is for you to develop decisiveness, especially to overcome procrastination. Procrastination is the thief of time. Procrastination is the thief of life. Putting off important tasks, putting off important studies, putting off important things is probably the #1 reason why people fail, and also why they experience tremendous stress and anxiety and frustration that weighs down on them and affects their personality. Their jobs are sitting there like avalanche overhangs, and they're feeling the pressure of work not done because they can't get themselves into doing it. So overcoming procrastination with decisiveness is a key success quality. How do you do it? Well, you, first of all, analyze your activities. Make a list of everything you have to do in the next day or week. And then go through the list and set priorities on them. Say, what are the most important things on this list? Here's an exercise I used to do is I would say, if I could only do one thing on this list before I was called out of town for a month, what one thing would I do? What one thing would you do? Then if I could only do one more thing, what would the second thing be and the third thing? And then you choose your most valuable task. The mark of the superior performer, the person with high self-esteem, high self-respect, high personal pride, the highest earner, is they're always choosing their most valuable task. They're always analyzing and selecting the one task that they and only they can do, and if they do it well, it will make a real difference. And then this is the key. Once you've selected your major task, get started on it. Just start. Start first thing in the morning. Start before doing anything else. Don't answer a phone call. Don't check mail. Don't drink coffee. Just start on your major task. If you're like most people, you have too much to do and too little time. If you're like most people, all the things that you have to do are causing you stress. And sometimes if you're away, you could come back and find yourself with 20 or 30 things to do. Do you know how to deal with stress? I found this technique myself. What you do is you make a list of everything that you have to do, and then you pick your most important thing, and then you concentrate single-mindedly on that one thing, and only that thing, and you stay with it until it's 100% complete. Some of the wealthiest and most successful men and women in the world have found that this technique has been the key to everything that they've accomplished. Pick your most important task and then concentrate single-mindedly on that one thing, the most important thing, and stay with it until it's done. Your ability to do that will determine your success or failure as much as anything else in life. If you can select your most important task and concentrate on it till it's done, you can do anything. And if you can't do anything. The people who rise to the top of every organization are those who have learned to concentrate and focus. And you can learn by practicing every time you get a chance. Another way to think big is to unlock your mental powers. Unlock your imagination. The key to this is to become an unshakable optimist. To become an unshakable optimist, you have to do several things, but I'll tell you the simplest thing is to be a solution-oriented person. You see, an optimist looks to the future and looks to solutions. A pessimist looks to the past and looks to blame. So whenever you have a difficulty of any kind, what you say is, what can we do here? What's the next step? What's the solution? It's the difference between turning a dimmer switch up and down. When you think about the problem and the cost and what happened and who's to blame and how much has been lost and so on, you turn your brain down and all your creative capacities go down, almost like light switches. However, when you begin to think in terms of solutions and what can be done, you turn your dimmer switch up. You see, goals are inherently positive. Solutions are inherently positive. The future is inherently positive. What you can do and the actions you can take are inherently positive, and what they do is they unlock your creativity and they make you a much smarter and much more creative person. Now here's a key. Once you have a goal, instead of asking whether or not it's possible, always ask the word how. Superior people always ask, how can we do it? How do we achieve it? How do we overcome the obstacle? How do we solve the problem? How do we achieve the goal? You see, average people are always getting caught up in details and thinking of all the reasons why it can't be done, but not superior people. Superior people always ask, how? Once you have a goal, a key to unlocking your creativity is to visualize your goal as a reality. See it in your mind's eye, clearly. You see, the more you visualize your goal, the more you trigger your subconscious and your superconscious minds into giving you a steady flow of ideas that drives you toward the achievement of the goal. The more you visualize, the more positive you are. The more you visualize, the more creative you are. The more you visualize, the greater imagination you have. You need to develop personal power to overcome obstacles if you really want to think with high levels of effectiveness. And personal power means self-mastery, self-control, and self-discipline. It means mastering your emotions. It means mastering what you say. It means controlling what you do. And it means disciplining yourself, because self-discipline lies at the core of personal power. Self-discipline means you can put it on yourself. You can hold your own feet to the fire. And the very best definition of self-discipline is the ability to make yourself do what you know you should do, when you should do it, whether you feel like it or not. You see, it's easy to do it when you feel like it. It's when you don't feel like it and you can make yourself do it anyway, when you can push yourself through the natural resistance and inertia, the fatigue and the distraction, and make yourself do it, that you become a master of the universe. The common denominator of success has always been the same. The common denominator of success is that successful people always do what unsuccessful people don't like to do. And what do unsuccessful people not like to do? The same things that successful people don't like to do, but successful people do them anyway because they're the price of success. Now here's the great discovery. Persistence is self-discipline in action. And persistence builds self-esteem, self-respect, and personal pride. The more you persist, the more you like yourself and the more disciplined you are. The more you persist, the greater your sense of self-respect. The more you persist, the more you accomplish and the higher your level of personal pride. Finally, practice the 3 keys to success every day. These are the 3 keys practiced by all the most highly motivated, best focused, most effective thinkers in our society. Number 1 is goal orientation. Know exactly what you want, write it down, and work on it every day. Number 2 is result orientation. Focus continually on your highest value activities, the things you do that make the most difference. And number 3 is action orientation. The number 1 quality of high achievers is they think, they plan, and then they take action. There are no limits on what you can accomplish once you start thinking big and putting your thoughts into action. Just do it.